Okay, so back within the book of, this is the book of Proverbs, okay, the first chapter. Okay, this is the book of Proverbs, the first chapter. And I always like starting at the 7th verse, okay, because starting at the 7th verse allows you to see basically how the Most High deals, okay. So the Most High deals with fear, okay, and when you are subjugated unto the Most High's fear, then the Most High really opens out the understanding unto you. So what you're seeing right now within the world is just seeing that fear of Yahweh Shai being manifested across the whole entire globe. Okay, you're seeing different people, right, waking up to the fact that they're Israelites and waking up to the fact that these different things that are happening within their lives, the curses that we're talking about, those are all the things that are prescribed within the scriptures. Okay, so you're seeing people realizing, right, coming to the belief and the understanding that the very things that are happening within their life, okay, the very things that are happening within their lives, whether it be Esau, acting crazy, okay, or whether it be the World War III that's coming up on this world, well, you're seeing that people are beginning to see that that's all tied in within the scriptures, okay, and seeing that this all tied in with the scriptures, the fear of Yahweh Shai is magnified, and therefore the understanding was going to be magnified, the understanding of who Yahweh came to have mercy upon, the understanding of who the Lord was going to come and put into chains. All of those things was going to be seen within these different people that had the fear of the Most High. And in so doing, you was going to have it where the floodgates of this understanding was going to be open, man. People was going to come in full force, right, full swinging, right, to the belief that they were not only just Israelites, but to the belief of Yahweh Shai, because and to call upon that name, because in calling up on that name, we know that that's what's going to be the key to the salvation, man. Okay, so let's go to like I said, I'll start on Proverbs the 7th verse, okay? I'll elaborate that point on fear within the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, and I go down to the 64th verse, because in going down to the 64th verse, you see that what? You see that pretty much you see that you're going to have the scattered across the board, okay? Once they see that they was the scattered, the zeal, okay, pertains only to the Israelites, and mercy only pertains to the Israelites, then those scattered was going to be brought back in, okay? Amos, was it Amos, the 9th chapter and the 9th verse goes into that. Okay, so this is Proverbs 1:7 says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, okay? And how all these different people was going to begin to fear Yahweh Shai? They was going to begin to fear him in understanding and perceiving that they was the Israelites based on the curses, okay? And being based upon those curses, they could see and identify within their own lifestyles, whether they may look like Edomites, whether they may look like Ammonites, Moabites, etc., okay, that they was the true people of the Most High sent out, right, dispersed amidst these different heathen nations. Okay, so let's go to the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter right quick, and then we go into that, okay, and see how that affects, right, the grand scheme of things that we're living in right now. So Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, and I'll jump around a little bit, okay, and I'll start from the 45th verse, okay. So Deuteronomy 28th chapter and the 45th verse, it says, moreover, all of these curses shall come upon thee and shall pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed. Okay, so these curses was going to be upon the 12 tribes of Israel, whether they may be dispersed amidst the Ammonites. Okay, and you can see the different clans within the Ammonites. You can see the straight up Ammonites. They'll be doing all types of well. Okay, but the curses will pursue those Israelites, disperse amidst those Ammonites to the end that you can see the disparity within the family. Okay, you can see that the destruction within their own so-called financial mobility, if you will. Okay, so it says thee and pursue thee and overtake thee till thou be destroyed. So you can see these people are completely destroyed. So you got these little clans amidst these heathen nations of Israelites, and they'll be the most destroyed people amidst those whatever nation it is. And you'll be wondering in your mind, why is that group of Elamites, for instance, in a cursed position, but the rest of the Elamites is doing relatively well? Well, the fact of the matter is, those are Israelites. You go out there into the west of Africa, they're living a different lifestyle to those Hamites, man. Okay. Now you go to where some of the Hamites, they were destroyed like the Babylonians, and they're living out, amidst the fields and so on and so forth. okay? But they still have a certain amount of respect to one another. Now you got it to where you got the West of Africa, and the Jakes amidst the West of Africa, they might have some financial mobility, but they will have their family completely destroyed. Family structure is non-existent. Okay, or they might have the family structure, but they've, in other words, one of the, some of those curses or a multitude of those curses was going to pursue them, man. Varying from varying from person to person, okay, varying in magnitude from person to person, but you're going to be able to see, right, based upon the curses, that this is what's going to be the people of the Most High. Okay, so it says, but thou, because thou hearkest not unto the voice of the Lord thy power to keep this commandment and his statutes which he has commanded thee, right? Because ultimately this comes off of the thing of what? That we didn't follow the Lord's statutes, commandments of the Most High, and as a result, we're in the accursed position that we're in right now. Okay, so then in realizing that faith was going to kick in, and you was going to automatically believe and follow the Lord's statutes, commandments of the Most High, not as a thing that was going to give you the ticket to get it to make it, because that wasn't going to have it to where you was going to make it. The scripture talks about how the creature was made subject unto vanity. Okay, so even if you tried to keep the laws 110%, you was always going to fail, because the creature was made subject unto vanity. Moreover, you're living in a society that perpetuates wickedness. Okay, the scripture talks about within the book of Amos, the 9th chapter and 8th verse, how the eyes of the Lord power upon the sinful kingdom, and he was going to destroy it from off the face thereof, man. Okay, so the eye see, Lord is seeing all of this wickedness being perpetuated. We know that the man that is the wicked is in rulership. We know that these elites, the accuser of our brethren, have it to where our people automatically go off without realizing. So that your ticket to make it out of it was never going to be the laws, but through faith and under fear of the Most High, you was going to keep these laws. Okay. You was going to keep them to the best of your ability, knowing that only Yahweh Shai, or ultimately Yahweh, had it to where you were either predestined to make it out of this kingdom, okay, or you was predestined to be destroyed by way of the ICBM nuclear missiles. Right? It really is kind of simple. So let's carry on with this. So let's go to the 48th verse. So it says, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and thirst, in nakedness, and in want of all things. Okay, and that's another key identifying factor, because like I said, you might have a clan of Elamites out there doing the hella poorer than the rest of the Elamites, and they'll go to their enemies for want of all things. But then you have it to where the straight up Elamites, okay, the non-Israelites, the heathens, they'll have all kind of financial mobility. They'll be doing exactly what they want to do when they want to do it. Lines of credit, all of that, all of them kind of things. Okay, because these were the curses that was going to pursue the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, wherever they was going to be. All right, so let's carry on with this. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron around thy neck till thou be destroyed. Okay, and that's predominantly dealing with the tribe of Judah, because that was the head tribe. Okay, so in being the head tribe, the Lord had it to where what? They went through the most accursed atrocities, but ultimately all of Israel went into that captivity, man. Because via a process of reincarnation, you got it to where whether you're from the tribe of Benjamin or from the tribe of Ephraim, you can still, even if you just have to come through you're just coming back into that line of being an Israelite, man. That's why you had it to where certain individuals, when you read the history, okay, they might have been from one tribe, okay, but when they came back in the reincarnation, they was from another tribe, okay. Examples don't really come to mind like that at the minute, but you get the gist of what I'm trying to say right there, okay. So all the 12 tribes went through that particular curse right there, wherewith the yoke was going to be upon the necks. Now, what group of people, when you go online and you search out that particular fact, what group of people did that curse apply to? That only applied to the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans, man. Right? And really all the Israelites throughout the four corners of the earth. Okay? So let's go on to this now. It says, I want to jump around a little bit. Okay, you know, really, if you read the whole thing, you really see that, you know, the thing is simple. So I'll go into the bits I'm interested in. This is the 64th verse. And the Lord shall scatter thee amongst all people, right, from one end of the earth even unto the other, and there shalt thou serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. Okay, so that's the important bit there, right? Dealing with this first, this preliminary subject matter of the floodgates being open. Okay, because you have a situation now where you got it to where you got Jakes, okay, amidst the Ammonites, amidst the Elamites, amidst the Moabites, etc., okay, that believe in Yahweh, Yahushai, and in the understanding of it, because those floodgates are being opened to the understanding, man. Okay, that these people were of the diaspora. Okay, so we're going to touch on a little bit of history dealing with that, and show you just dealing with the Romans, or rather more the Greeks, when they came upon Israel. Okay, they had it to where Jake was completely gave away their own heritage. Okay, they discontinued from that heritage, right? Namely, when this individual Antiochus Epiphanes was ruling, and he went over into Jerusalem, he had it to where the people basically forsook their laws, statutes, commandments, right, in favor of being a friend, quote unquote, right, with the Greeks. Okay, and that's why you had it to where when the Jews were on the scene. Okay, when the Jews had their own liberation, if you will, liberation to follow the laws, statutes, commandments of the Most High, but during the times of the Romans, they said it to where you know another tribe didn't even talk to them because they regarded those as heathens. Okay, and if they had conversations and intermarriages and so on and so forth, that would have had it to where the remnant that was left out there amidst the Jews out there during the times of the Romans, okay, 70 AD, etc. Prior to that, okay, would have went off. That's where you have the statement where it talks about how it was unlawful for a man to speak that, or from another, for a man that is a Jew to speak with another person that was from another nation. And when you go into those words, it's the word aluphilos, meaning another tribe. Okay, another tribe of Israel, because during the times of the Greeks, these Jakes that were out there was getting completely Hellenized, man. And when you see what the society that we're living in right now, right, you go into where Esau is basically pushing the same thing. He's saying worship the beast. And in the times of Antiochus Epiphanes, he was saying the same thing. Worship the Roman, the Greek way of life. Okay? He was saying worship the Greek way of life, and you had it to where some Jakes they were so far moving into that they was more Hellenistic than the Jews, than the Greeks themselves, man. Okay, so let's get into this right quick. So I'll start from the 11th verse. Okay, so this is Maccabees, the first chapter, and the 11th verse. It says, "In those days went out there wicked men, right? Wicked men. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, Let us make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us, right? For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow." Okay, so during the time of the Maccabees, you had it to where you had some you had it to where trying to remember the history right quick off the top of my head. But pretty much, you had it to where the Greeks were kind of trying to roll up in there and strip the Jews of their heritage, okay? And every time, you had it to where a leader had a pact with the Greeks, they was doing, somewhat all right, but they was going off. So there you had it to where wicked men amidst the Israelites, roughly paraphrasing the history that is. Now you had it to where you had wicked men amidst the Israelites. They basically perceived within their mind. They said, look, when we had this allegiance with these heathens, we was doing all right. It wasn't rolling upon us, okay, besieging the city, etc., etc. All right, so then they meant to make a league with the heathens. So let's read about this. Okay, so it says, "So this device pleased them well, and certain men, certain of the people were so forward therein, they went to the king, who gave them a license to do after the ordinance of the heathen." Okay, and when you read down, it goes all up into that. So that was the first instance. Okay, that was Jake's willfully going up onto the Greeks. Okay, and saying, stripping themselves of their own heritage, right, and likening themselves onto the heritage of the Greeks. Okay, but this comes into importance. This statement comes into importance where the scripture says that there is no difference between a Greek nor a Jew, because those were the same Israelites. It ain't talking about the Greeks as in the Edomites. It's talking about those Jews, those Jakes, right, those Israelites that had taken up the customs of the heathens. But ultimately, the heritage still pertained to them if they turn back unto Yahweh. And this is what is coming into importance right now when you have it to where the floodgates are being opened. Because with the floodgates being open, the understanding going out there, there is no difference between a Jake that's out there and he's lived amidst the Ammonites all of his entire life, but he's still an Israelite, than the Israelites that's lived out there within America. There is no difference, man. Because to all that believe in Yahweh Shai, the mercies of salvation was going to be spewed out unto them. That's why you had it to where within the scriptures it talks about how that there was an innumerable multitude that was from all over the nations that received mercy, because those were the same Israelites spoken about within the book of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter and the 64th verse, that were dispersed amidst the heathens, man. It's easy. It's actually easy. Okay, so let's move on with this. Okay, now I want to read dealing with this cat. Right, so this is 1 First Maccabees, the first chapter on the 41st verse. It says, moreover, the king Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. And that's it. Hey, you know, we're gonna go back and forth dealing with what was happening in the history. And any good economist will tell you this: if you study history, all right, the history of commerce, then you was gonna be able to understand the future of commerce. The same thing applies with the history of what happened as pertaining to the Israelites. If you studied the history of the Israelites back then, you're gonna have the same thing happening today. Okay, you study Esau, how Esau moved back then. Esau was gonna come in the same breath, in the same vein. So when Esau was in rulership at that period of point, when he was ruling, what did he do? He said, look, this is our way of life. Okay, you gotta be down with that. We gotta be all of one people. And you're seeing the same idea, the same philosophy being perpetuated throughout the whole world. That all should be one people. All should be of one religion. Okay? Well, in other words, the so-called New World Order, because there is nothing new underneath the sun, and Esau's coming with that same vibration, man. Okay, that's why you got to where wickedness is being perpetuated at an all-time high, because you got an intermingling of cultures, nations, tongues, okay, all into one succinct religion belief. Okay, the belief that Esau is God. Because when you read the book of Obadiah, what does it tell you about that? Esau believes within his mind he's got a God complex. He feels like he's brought people to life, and he can create life, create death. Okay, right? Create money, all of these different things. In his mind, he's actually got a God complex. He actually believes that he is the Most High. Okay, and he's so believing, so he wants it to where the whole vast majority of all of the people upon the face of the earth, he wants them to be subjugated underneath him, and he's going to do that by way of the RFID chip, or he's going to try to do that. Okay, so let's carry on with this now. 44th verse. So it says, and the king, moreover, the king Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, so-called New World Order of that age, and everyone should leave their laws. So all the heathens, right, agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yea, also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned Sabbath. And that's where you had it to where you had the so-called Greeks, okay, amidst the Greeks that were actually Israelites, to where the statement was said there was no difference between those Jews, okay, and the Jews that were believing in the Greek customs. There was no difference because they was all Israelites, man. Okay, and ultimately now you got to where the descendants of all of those people, that they might look like Edomites, they might look like Moabites, they might look like any other nation, because the same thing happened when you had it to where the Persian, you had it to where during the Persian Empire. So during the Persian Empire, you had it to where Israelites that were left over from the Babylonians. No pictures, please. Don't have to be sneaky. Okay, all right. You had it to where during the time of the Babylonians took good choice men from Jake's day. But prior to that, you actually had it to where you had the Assyrian Empire. And during the time of the Assyrian Empire, okay, Shalmaneser V, okay, Sargon II, etc., took over. Was it the southern kingdom? Okay, right? The so-called the Latin-speaking tribes. Okay, so you're talking about Simon, Zebulun, Ephraim, Manasseh, Gad, etc. They took over that realm. Okay, and after they had taken over that realm, those people decided within themselves, like, look, we didn't keep our laws, such commandments when we was in our own stead. Okay, when we was in our own prominence, let's go out there onto the Americas and we're gonna keep the laws, such commandments of the Most High over there. So they went out and they got themselves over there. But you still had intermingling at that same point. So when the Assyrians had authority over them, guess what? They was marrying and intermarriages. Why do you think that empire dwindled? Okay, because the same thing happens every time you have a kingdom. Okay, you have it to where you have you rule the people in oppression, but over time you can't just oppress people forever and ever. Over that time, the oppression comes down and they start intermarrying within the people. That's why Esau was going to be destroyed, because if Esau was not going to be destroyed when the Most High sets up his kingdom, he was going to just intermarry his way back into prominence. We've seen that within history. There's examples of that within the scriptures where Esau where Jakes would go out there right into the land of Edom. Okay, they'll crush the Edomites. Okay, the son of the king will run out there into Egypt or something like that. And then after a while, he'll come back, start getting his money together, start getting his prominence back together, marrying into certain political positions. And over time, he'll build himself back up. That's why Esau's going to be completely wiped off the face of the earth. But going back onto the point I was making, during the time of the Assyrians, you had the Israelites intermingling with those Assyrians. Okay, you also have to remember that the house of Israel had allegiance with the Syrians. Okay, right, dealing with this, forget the name of this, a resident, okay? They had dealing with them, and they was gonna go and oppress who? They was gonna go oppress Judah, right, with the Syrians, okay? Right, so they was back and forth in between those. They were intermarrying and giving into marriage amidst the Syrians as well as the Assyrians. Okay, so that's the house of Israel. What about the house of Judah? You had it to where the Babylonians, when they came into prominence and they took down the house of Judah, what did they do? They said they picked out choice men. Okay, and they picked out those choice men. What did they do when they was out there within the land of Israel? They intermarried and did what they had to do with it. Over time, you would have had a blend of all people being dispersed throughout the four corners of the earth. It's just the way history works, man. Okay, and after the Babylonians, you had it to where their so-called, I believe it was their cousins. Okay, which was the Medo-Persians, right? The Medo-Persians, they came into prominence. Okay, you had it to where some Jakes still stayed within the Medo-Persian Empire, while other Jakes went out back into the land of Jerusalem. Then you had it to where you had the Greeks. The same thing happened then. The Greeks came over, ruled. You had it, some followed the customs of the heathens, intermarried into the ways of the heathens, and some kept that same luck. So over time, you was going to have to where these Jakes was going to be spread throughout the four corners of the earth. But the difference between them and the real Jakes, there was no difference, man. Okay, dealing with the so-called transatlantic slave trades. You had it to where you had the Byzantine Empire out there within Europe. You had Jakes ruling Europe and all of that. But what happened when Esau rolled up on them? You had some fled out there into western interiors of Africa, but what if some fled out there into other areas of Eurasia? So you got into where all of these Jakes, all of these Israelites are dispersed throughout the four corners of the earth, and they're not going to receive mercy. Of course the Most High was going to have mercy upon them because they were still Israelites. That's why the scripture says what it said. There was no difference between them and the so-called natural Israelites. The so-called Israelites that was born, right, they circumcised on the 8th day, etc., etc., all of that. There was no difference between them. In fact, more so, you had it to where the Lord came, when he came on the scene, those Jakes were that was off the law. They were hypocrites, man. The Lord cursed them out. The Lord cursed them out, and he actually turned away from those people, and they said to him, whither will he go? Will he go on